still. Washington Boulevard down to the 5. In Lincoln Heights, 5 southbound at Mission Road. The on-ramp closed there until noon. Clearing a wreck in Commerce on the 5 northbound past Atlantic Boulevard. You're seeing heavy delays there coming away from the 605.
If you like using debit over credit, shouldn't you also get rewarded? Well, now you can with Discover Cashback Debit. It's a checking account that rewards everyone with cash back on everyday purchases with no fees, period. Check out eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
The Chargers lose by 3 to the Dallas Cowboys last night. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert threw an interception with 1:20 left in the fourth quarter to seal the victory for an inspired Cowboys team. A week ago, the Cowboys gave up 42 points at San Francisco. They allowed only 17 last night. Rams starting cornerback Darian Kendrick was arrested early Monday morning in Hollywood for illegal possession of a gun in his car. The gun was found when Kendrick was pulled over for a traffic violation. Kendrick was arrested on a similar charge in 2021 in his hometown of Rock Hill, South Carolina. Rock Hill police found Kendrick sleeping in his car with a gun on his lap. Top 5 college football teams in this week's AP poll: Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, and Washington. USC dropped from 10th to 18th. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcasts of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader.
Following the leader.
Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
I'm Tavis Smiley, and I am thrilled to have you listen to our program today. Wherever you are in the country, thank you for tuning in to our program. In this hour, 2 conversations about the black voice, in fact. On the B side of this hour, if you feel Alexa or Siri doesn't always understand you, there may be a fix for that. I'm talking out of my mom back in Indiana, who always... I know a bunch of black folk like this. It's just the way we talk. We spent an hour talking to Professor Elijah Anderson about the journey, the precarious journey that black folk have to navigate every day in this place called America. And so, if you think that Alexa or Siri doesn't always quite understand you when you're speaking to them, there may be a fix for that. Howard University Professor Gloria Washington joins us on the backside of this hour to explain her new project that will make it easier, we are told, for black folk to be understood by automatic speech recognition technology. And speaking of black speech and the black voice, take a listen to this.
Oh, my.
Nick, where do I get one of these alarms?
You want one of these alarms, Rocky? You're gonna have to get out there and take it yourself.
I'll do it.
Hello? Oh, my.
It's the king of sound effects, the voice instrumentalist, actor Michael Winslow, who joins us right now. Michael, how are you, sir?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I hear you well, man. How are you, sir?
I'm just kidding.
You doing all right, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to hear you. Good to hear your show.
It's good to hear your voice. It's been a while, and I'm delighted to talk to you. Everybody knows you. You become iconic over the years, thanks to Police Academy and all the things that we've seen you appear in, with all these voices, these characters that you bring to life through your instrument. For those who've never heard your backstory, how did all of this begin? Every one of us has our own unique gift and talent, and yours has been on display for some decades now. Where did all this begin, Michael?
Well, thank you for asking. And by the way, Mel Brooks would say, "Don't forget Spaceballs." So, you know what? It would have been fun to have been in a second Mel Brooks movie. But
yeah.
I have to be happy for what I have. I've been, to tell you the truth, I've been making noises and voices since 19 somewhere around there. Okay, you understand. Everybody remembers that was the good years. But it was 19 somewhere. I used to watch TV. I used to watch the Copycats on TV. I used to watch all the voice shows, and they're all the different everything from Flip Wilson to the Copycats to you name it. I was watching it and I was listening to it because it's the sound. It was when you watch Wagon Train, it's the of the horses in the stagecoach, and don't forget in the background when you watch old movies, it's the I gotta have me some chicken. Don't point that at me. You know, but pretty much I had to pretty much do my own soundtracks because I didn't have a lot of friends. So as a little kid, you end up learning how sound is a vibration, is energy, is things that you can actually use as tools of your environment. So for me, it was always a soundtrack.
Yeah.
And
Mike, you still there?
I'm still here.
I thought I lost you for a second. When you, I'm sorry, I thought I lost you for a second. When you say that you've always known and always respected the fact that sound is a vibration of energy.
Yeah.
When you're on stage or on film doing what you do, tell me how you hope that energy that you're putting forth is being received. What are you hoping that energetic connection to mean or to cause?
It's intention. It's intention. What do you intend for the outcome to be? You don't know how you're going to get from point A to point Z, but you're hoping that the journey will be proper. It's your intention in your mind before you do it. It's just like when you play it in your mind, like when George Lucas or Penny Marshall or any of the directors, try to direct a scene, they see it in their heads. So to George, those characters were alive in his mind, and he felt the pain that they felt. But as a writer, it was like peeling the lining of your stomach like an onion. So when I make those noises, I'm trying to portray what I think is there, especially when you're doing ADR stuff. When you do ADR work, I'm trying to approximate as close as I can what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. When we come forward, I want to ask how one practices for what you do. Clearly, you're gifted at it, but I'm just curious as to like what goes into practicing to become better at being the voice instrumentalist that you are. He's actor Michael Winslow. You listen to him right now on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Escalade IQ. This the intro to the all-electric Cadillac perfection like zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop. Haiku. This is what I do. Daddy fat intellect since 92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Come with 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shawty don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. You hear me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Feel it, beloved, clearly we're hustling. Bustin', truckin'. Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit Cadillac.com.
Available late 2024. GM estimate 450-mile range on a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection consistent with the CHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambience temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
We're celebrating 1 year of the K. From checking out the vibrant art and diverse dining in Lamert Park to cheering on your favorite team in Inglewood, you can choose your own adventure when you ride the Metro K-Line. Leave the car at home and go Metro. Visit metro.net/K-Line.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here with a quick recap for my time at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. There were speakers Ian Dunlap, Damon John, Lynn Richardson, MC Light, Don Kennedy, to name a few. Take a listen to what Justin Grant, Community Development Lead at Chase's Advancing Black Pathway, let's see what he had to say.
So I'm Justin Grant. I lead community development and national partnerships for JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Pathway strategy. And so we're focused on strengthening the economic foundation of black communities, and we're making targeted investments in programs like the Advancing Black Wealth Tour to help us get our tools and resources out to the community to drive sustained impact over time.
So when it comes to black and brown people, it sounds like Chase is making it their personal responsibility not only to facilitate these events, but to educate and provide resources. So Mr. Grant, I have to ask, what does wealth building look like for the individual?
It's home ownership, it's having that freedom to be able to start your own business and create jobs in your community, and it's having that long-term plan towards retirement, having that vision for what you want your life to be, and you have the resources to actually live it.
I'm Maisha Cairo. Thanks for sticking around. That was my recap from Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. First stop was here in LA, and they're taking it national.
Made fresh daily in Lamert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Some breaking news here in case you have not heard. In the House Speaker election, Jim Jordan has lost his first vote to become Speaker. He's been endorsed, as you know, by Donald Trump. He's a combative ally of Donald Trump. He fell 17 votes short of the majority needed to prevail, despite an intense right-wing pressure campaign to win over some of his Republican critics. He fell 17 votes short. He's picked up one or two, we are told, since that vote some moments ago. So he's lessening, it appears, the 17-vote margin that he needs to cover, the spread that he needs to cover. But he lost his first vote. As you recall, once again, it took Kevin McCarthy, 15 votes to finally get it across the finish line. We will see how many votes it takes Jim Jordan to the extent he eventually succeeds. We don't know that as yet. But if he does succeed, we'll see how many votes it takes him. But this process is once again underway. And the comedians, I'm sure, the late-night comedians, will have a field day with this, as they did with the 15 votes it took Kevin McCarthy to get across the finish line. So, again, Jim Jordan has lost on the first vote to become the next speaker. We're 2 weeks now without a Speaker of the House. Speaking of drama, we called it earlier a haunted house. October is here. Halloween is upon us, and this really is a haunted house. Nothing scarier, it seems to me, than a guy like Jim Jordan being the Speaker. I digress on that for now, but I wanted to update you on where things stand. They will be eventually pushing toward a second vote, I suspect, but at the moment, he has lost, Jim Jordan, that is, his bid to be the next Speaker of the House. More when we get it. We continue our conversation now with the king of sound effects, the voice instrumentalist, actor Michael Winslow. Mike, I was asking you moments ago, and we'll talk about, I do got some dates coming up. I'll push those dates out here in a moment. But we were talking earlier about how one, goes about practicing, getting better at what you do. Like, what's that like?
What's it like? It's a nightmare. It's a lovely.
Michael, your phone keeps your phone's cut out of me again. I can't hear you. Michael Winslow. Let's see if we can get that fixed here. This is funny, right? So you're talking to a voice instrumentalist. You're talking to the king of sound effects who cannot be heard. But I'm pumped. So let's see if we can't figure that out. But you all know Michael Winslow, of course, from all the work he's done in so many movies over the years, so many films, where you see this black guy show up, and there seems to be nothing that he can't do with his voice. I felt that way about Al Jarreau when it came to music. There was nothing that Al Jarreau really couldn't do with his voice musically. And there's almost nothing that Michael Winslow cannot do with his voice when it comes to just imbibing and the characters of so many different sounds. He's performing at the Hive in Sandpoint, Idaho this Saturday, the 21st, and in Cancun. Here's a good excuse to go to Cancun. Cancun at Planet Hollywood, November the 6th through the 11th. So at the Hive in Sandpoint, Idaho this Saturday, the 21st, and in Cancun at Planet Hollywood, November 6th through the 11th. I think I got Michael back. Michael, I was saying a moment ago that there's something wrong when the voice instrumentalist, the king of sound effects, can't do a simple thing like make his voice come through a radio.
Well, the problem is technology has to catch up to me still. Because it's still trying. Because sometimes I find that when I do certain digital calls,
mm-hmm.
the AI will become confused
mm-hmm.
because suddenly it thinks I'm a background noise.
Oh yeah. That's funny.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious. It actually starts to edit what I'm doing because I've done this before. I've fooled these AIs before.
Right.
And that's a whole different subject. When I think about the library of sounds, because I'm in the hundreds of thousands of sounds now.
Right.
Just imagine what I could do. Thank God I don't do politics.
Yeah.
but all I have to do, all I have to do is say, and next on the news, live from Congress.
Since you went there, I want to go there. You said it's another conversation, and it is, but I'm fascinated by it. So when you make these sounds, when you're doing these conversations on radio or elsewhere, and AI is trying to figure out what is he doing? What is that sound? What is that? What have you learned about AI and the way it responds to you?
It's like a camera.
Mm-hmm.
You can fool the camera, but the camera can be lied to.
Mm-hmm.
The camera doesn't lie, but you can fool the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the microphone.
Yeah.
I mean, I could very easily make it think that an alarm was going off, or a bunch of dogs were barking, or the wind was blowing, and it'll suddenly try to, like, if I was to go, let's open the door. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
See, this time it knows that I'm crazy, so it's leaving me alone for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But technology is you have to understand it's an interesting tool, but it is not a director.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have to use these sounds. Actually, it's kind of like superhero stuff. I use it for good. Believe me, I do not do talking noises and talking food in the restaurants anymore.
Yeah.
You have to be careful. You have to be careful with it. You have to be very careful with this. Yeah.
So let me ask you. Let me ask you then. This is fascinating to me. So, given the way that AI responds to you when you do these voices and it hears these sounds,
yes.
What's your view of AI? Do you find it scary? I'm going to talk. You may have heard me say moments ago. I'm going to talk on the backside of this hour with a Howard professor who's working on a project that will make black folk more easily understood by Alexa and Siri. So everybody's in this game. This whole hour we're talking about the sound of black voices. Yeah. So tell me how what's your read of? I don't want to color the question. What is your read of AI? Yeah.
My read is we better stay ahead of it at all times.
Yeah.
Because this is the monster we're fighting about with the SAG strike and everything else. This is the monster in the room. You talk about the white elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's a swarm of elephant drones in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the issue about streaming. Everybody goes, well, how come everybody's fighting about streaming? Okay, let me make this easy for you. The same with my noises. The same thing with streaming. Think of streaming as baggage fees, except you are the bag.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get you back.
Mm-hmm.
Now do you understand?
Yeah.
So I've decided for AI, one time somebody asked me, could you please do some noises to see if you can fool the AI? So I sent some to this company. They said it crashed. So it's very young right now. And if I wanted to, I could do my own ear. See, in my live show, I have my own Siri, but it's a hood app. It's called Sneery. Hang on. Let me see if I can get Sneery on the phone.
Okay.
Hello. My name is Sneery. Yo. $2 in advance. Yo. $2. Yo. I am available at your snooper market. Dang. You hear that? She got that at my snooper market. See, if you have a very slightly strange sense of humor, you can do stuff to the AI.
Oh, Michael.
And now, my name is Snurry. Yo, this is 10 seconds of free hip hop. $2. Yo. I hope that professor is not mad at me. because now she's probably thinking there's ways I can get rid of Winslow. Sure, if I wanted to have a tiger in the room with me, all I have to do is go. See, try to get an AI to understand that.
Yeah. When you say
stay ahead of it.
When you say stay ahead of it, I take your advice. I hear it loud and clear. Stay ahead of it. When you say that you are now in the hundreds of voices, how do you keep all that stuff? I mean, every time I see you or watch you in person, television, anywhere, I'm always fascinated by how over the years adding more and more voices to your brain. How do you keep all that stuff like there? How you make all of it work? How you seamlessly weave all these things together? I mean, you got a brain. It's got a certain capacity and space, and yet you make it all work. Michael, tell me about that part.
It's timing. It's timing, just like a soundtrack in a movie. There really is a cadence to it. And to all the folks out there that want to make noises and do noises and things, it's timing, it's cadence. You can't just throw. One of the things that I keep telling all the beatboxers is that one of the things you got to have is you can do all the noises in the world. You can have all the different noise. You can all you want, but if you do that too much, you will scare the girls away. You understand? Slow down. Be humble. Slow down. Be humble. I keep trying to tell the guys, listen, it's cadence, it's timing. I learned that from Mel Brooks, and I learned that from you as well. As
I don't know when y'all put the fuel pump in. Somehow the ECU got partially unplugged.
Oh, okay, yeah. Figured it was something like I said, but
so I unplugged it. Plugged it back in, and I guess.
And those lines are crossing, Miles. I don't know if that's. That doesn't sound like Michael Winslow. I think those lines are crossed. I don't know where Michael is, but it sounds like all of a sudden somebody else's conversation came in here.
Yeah. So if you can make that one sound, the way George Martin had done it when he was starting to work with the Beatles,
right?
Because he understood cadence, he understood the sound, and it's the same I tell to everybody else. Oh, and to all you kids out there trying to make your movies, please, please, please. Buy a decent USB microphone because the sound will destroy your video.
What do you make of the fact that you talked earlier about the strike that's going on? The writers, of course, got their deal and thankfully got most of what they wanted in their fight with the studio bosses. The actors, of course, are still on strike, and that at the moment at least shows no sign of abating. And so our best to all the actors who are having to navigate. I was just reading a piece last night about so many actors who are returning to working in restaurants right now because this thing has gone on so long. And everybody's not a Denzel, everybody's not a Tom Cruise, everybody's not a, and so a lot of actors are back in restaurants now just trying to make ends meet while this strike continues. But that said, there are a whole lot of people. And as a matter of fact, I get people calling me all the time asking me for advice and asking me for connections and hookups. But everybody wants to be in the voiceover game because there's so much content out there in all these different platforms, and a lot of this content, of course, requires more voiceover. And everybody thinks they can be a voiceover star. What do you make about the growth of voiceover talent these days? The business.
Well, we kind of knew it was going to head in that direction. And this is the other issue that's scaring the crud out of everybody over AI, because I'm scared to death, of them taking my voice and doing whatever the heck they want with it, scrubbing it as they call it. I mean, that's a big issue. So the best thing you're going to have to do is, again, stay ahead of it. You're going to have to say the authentic you, the authentic whoever. You're going to have to find a way to water. I mean, the technology is being written as we're talking about it. So you're going to have to you're probably going to have to watermark stuff into your work, and also preface what your presentations to everybody else is. Remember, We are the human element, not the sterile AI, because the big thing that everybody hated about digital was the fact that record vinyl was warm. Records were warm. You had an analog sound. It was a beautiful sound. Then it went from vinyl to all these incantations to CDs to whatever, and it became sterile to the point where some artists would get an old reel-to-reel tape recorder and record all their vocals because it was still warm. Mm-hmm. Michael Jackson would do that stuff, and Quincy would do that, where they would record all the vocals and the keyboards and vocals on analog reel-to-reel tape because it was still alive. It was still warm. The same problem with this AI stuff. You can have all the tools in the world, but if it doesn't have a soul, you're wasting your time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The same thing. My cameraman, a friend of mine, a cinematographer who passed away a couple years back, he said, "You can have the best tech in the world, but if you don't have a darn story, you can forget it. Mm-hmm. But you can have the most rinky-dink camera, but if you can get that story across, people will go and see it." Yeah. And I'll give you an example: Blair Witch Project, little $27,000 movie. So. And Spike Lee, same thing. She's Got to Have It and Do the Right Thing. The stuff he shot on Super 16 film because he couldn't get the proper film. So you shoot on Super 16 and blow it on a 35. You learn these tricks, and now you've got digital. You've got your HDs and your audios, and again your Logic and your Pro Tools, and it's confusing as all get out for all the voiceover people out there. The thing is, just find some voices and listen to the people like your show, or whenever I can post. Listen to people who are doing it, and you'll get nuggets. You will get pieces of gold along the way. Yeah. But keep asking. Jay Leno will talk to a stand-up comedian if he knows you're a stand-up comedian. Mm-hmm. There are ways to get to folks. They'll talk to you. You just have to really have a vision of what you really want. What are your intentions?
Nope, I love it. Performing at the Hive in Sandpoint, Idaho, this Saturday, the 21st, in Cancun. At Planet Hollywood, November 6th through the 11th. I got 60 seconds here. What is a Michael Winslow show like, Michael Winslow?
Well, we're going to break the rules in an organized manner.
I love that. Break the rules in an organized manner.
There's a lot of music in the show because I decided, I don't want to go on stage and do stand up and get smacked in the head. Yeah. So I'm going to do music stuff. I'm going to do some music stuff, very wild stuff, because it's me. I'm creating it in real time. So we'll see how folks react to that, and we're getting back into vinyl. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again, and hopefully one day meeting you.
I love it. Likewise, my friend. He's the king of sound effects, the voice instrumentalist, actor Michael Winslow, performing at the Hive in Sandpoint, Idaho, this Saturday, the 21st. Cancun at Planet Hollywood, November the 6th through the 11th. Michael, all the best to you, sir. Travel safe. Good to have you on this program. Thanks for your time, my friend.
Thank you. And please tell the professor I said.
I think the professor just heard it. That professor, by the way, is Gloria Washington, and she has a new project. If you think that Alexa and Siri doesn't always understand you, there may be a fix for that. We're talking about the black voice in this hour, and we'll do that with Gloria Washington of Howard, the Bison, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
We thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A ground invasion of Gaza by Israeli forces still appears imminent. Israel has imposed a blockade, and bombardment of the Gaza Strip has been ongoing since Hamas's coordinated attacks earlier this month. The death toll from the fighting has now risen to 4,200. Former President Trump heads back to a New York City courtroom today where his businesses are the center of a $250 million civil fraud trial. New York Attorney General Letitia James accuses Trump and the Trump Organization of overvaluing assets. The African-American AG says it's in order to get more favorable loans. While Trump isn't required to be present, he's told reporters he goes so he can point out how corrupt the entire system is. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Starting off in Pico Rivera, where we have heavy traffic on the 605 South Drive still. Washington Boulevard down to the 5. In Lincoln Heights 5, southbound at Mission Road, the on-ramp closed there until noon. Clearing a wreck in Commerce on the 5, northbound past Atlantic Boulevard. You're seeing heavy delays there coming away from the 605.
If you like using debit over credit, shouldn't you also get rewarded? Well, now you can with Discover Cashback Debit. It's a checking account that rewards everyone with cash back on everyday purchases with no fees, period. Check out eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The Chargers lose by 3 to the Dallas Cowboys last night. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert threw an interception with 1:20 left in the fourth quarter to seal the victory for an inspired Cowboys team. A week ago, the Cowboys gave up 42 points at San Francisco. They allowed only 17 last night. Rams starting cornerback Darian Kendrick was arrested early Monday morning in Hollywood for illegal possession of a gun in his car. The gun was found when Kendrick was pulled over for a traffic violation. Kendrick was arrested on a similar charge in 2021 in his hometown of Rock Hill, South Carolina. Rock Hill police found Kendrick sleeping in his car with a gun on his lap. Top 5 college football teams in this week's AP poll: Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, and Washington. USC dropped from 10th to 18th. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Klein tools are new at Lowe's. Right now, get the new Klein 3-piece Modbox mobile workstation exclusively at Lowe's for just $319.94. Because Lowe's knows tools. Lowe's knows pros.
Hey, did you know Vistaprint prints everything a small business needs? Like if a barbershop needs signage, we print outdoor signs, posters, and banners. Or if a ballet school needs merch,
1, 2,
we print tote bags, t-shirts, hoodies, hats. Or if a coffee shop needs a total refresh,
latte for Mike?
Vistaprint designs logos and prints it on menus, mugs, paper bags, anything. Because with Vistaprint, the printabilities are endless. Print it all with 25% off for new customers with code NEW25 at Vistaprint.com.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Are you interested in catching up on all the latest entertainment news, trending topics, and exciting interviews? I got you. Tune in to The Raw Report with Robin Ayers, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Ayers. Join me every weekday with some of the best entertainment contributors in the business as we break down what's going on, who's got next, and what not to miss. Only on The Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Indeed. We're talking in this hour, as I said earlier, about the black voice. Just spent some time with Michael Michael Winslow, talking about how he uses his voice, has done so successfully in all kinds of film, and as a stand-up performer. Nobody better at Michael than at being, as he would call it, a voice instrumentalist. He is the king of sound effects, and so that was fascinating and interesting to talk to Michael for a half hour. Now I shift to talk to Professor Gloria Washington. If you are having problems communicating with Alexa or Siri, as my mother does from time to time, there may be a fix for that. Gloria Washington is an associate professor of computer science at Howard University, of course, in the nation's capital. She joins us now to explain her project that could ultimately make it easier for black folk to be understood by automatic speech recognition technology. She refers to herself as an empathetic technology researcher who focuses on the intersection of human-centered computing, affective computing, that's with an A, and biometrics. Her research seeks to give voices to the underserved and marginalized by asking questions like how technology can impact positively human emotions while reducing a systemic racism, systematic racism and barriers to equity, and how technology can build lasting social impact through requiring persons to feel empathy and not just look away. That's a bit about what she does at Howard University, and I'm pleased to have her on Tavis Smiley. Professor Washington, how are you today?
I am so good. Thank you for having me here.
It is so great to have you here. Thank you for the time. I just try to give people a sense in broad strokes of what your work is about, but in layman's terms, in your own words, what do you do every day at Howard?
Yeah, so we create technology that basically helps the Black experience. One of the things that we really do is just be concerned with how we can create social change, how we can empower our Black students at Howard to learn how to be tech innovators and also create technology innovations so they can be the next millionaires and billionaires.
I love it. That's important, and I'm glad you're there doing this righteous work, because I have often complained, and this is nothing new to you, that in these spaces we are always seen as the consumer, but never the creator. I hope you're going to tell me that you see that changing into the future with your students, that we won't just be consumers, but also more on the creative side into the future.
Yes, actually, in two different fronts that we're doing. We do high school camps where we teach girls and boys how to be technology influencers, and then also how to create the technology so people can learn about it. And then they engage in a pitch competition. And then also with this project, Project Elevate Black Voices, we are creating a data set of African-American Black voices so that we can create technology that will not only respect and learn from Black people to be able to utilize in voice technology like Siri, Alexa, and Google Assistant.
We're going to discuss that in just a second here. I'm just curious about your backstory. Tell me how this became your lane.
Yeah, so I am from Missouri. I went to Lincoln University in Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
From Kansas City, go Chiefs. And basically, I had always just loved computers, and my brother, Edward, he was just always playing them, and I wanted to be just like him. Grew up around two boys, and so I just learned about how I can be a programmer, and that started me on my journey of like really finding out about it. And then I went to graduate school at George Washington in D.C. and got my PhD.
And what do your brothers think about you now?
They love me. And I'm still in all of them, too.
Yeah. Sister hangs out with them and becomes a PhD teaching this stuff at Howard. Speaking of programming, I love that story. So talk to me about what you're working on with regard to Alexa and Siri and other systems like that that can better understand Black speech patterns into the future.
Yeah, so we are working to gather the unique speech of Black people while doing it in a fair, ethical, accountable, and respectable manner by going around the United States and actually working through events and getting Black people to sign up and actually provide their voice. We want to make sure that they also understand that they are in the process of this creation as well and that they're not excluded. So we're teaching them along the way, what does fairness mean? What does AI mean? how can you be in the process of creating technology, and then how can you collaborate with us later on down the line? This data set will also be available to other researchers as well.
This data set, as you call it, is a fancy term for profiling and compiling the way Black folk talk. So let me just go right to the heart of the matter. What is it about our speech patterns that makes it oftentimes difficult for Alexa or Siri to understand what we're trying to say?
Well, in a nutshell, we just have to code switch. We usually have to code switch the way that we talk for Siri, Alexa to be able to understand us. But specifically, it's like our southern drawl. Like myself, I'm from the Midwest. Sometimes we have a twang, and it really does start to impact the way that those tools start to understand me. And those are one of the things that we're trying to capture, those unique dialects of things that we say uniquely that are uniquely Black.
Here's a wild question. Let me ask it, not my first or my last wild question, but let me put it out there anyway. Is that right? Is that just? Is that fair that whoever created these systems, Alexa, Siri, did not consider that Alexa or Siri might not understand anybody who didn't talk the way that they enunciated, the way they pronounced?
Yeah, so you have to understand that most of these systems are created without Black people in the room and are created from data sets that are not gathered from Black people. So they were trained off of data that is mainly white or individuals who may have a English dialect. Specifically, it really does horrible on Black people, and Black people have to code switch and really pretend like they're someone else, and it creates this imposter syndrome that if you are a programmer like myself, I teach, that you can utilize technology and maybe you can program, but you really aren't in the room just yet.
So give me a sense, clearly I'm not as bright as you are, so make sure I can follow this, and if I can follow it, everybody else can. So give me a sense of how collecting this data set, Professor Washington, can potentially lead to Alexa and Siri understanding us better. Tell me how that process works.
Yeah, so the process works by us gathering different kind of dialects like Midwestern, Southern, also the DC twang as well, the way that they say things, and creating a unique data set so that we can pre-train it on these large language models to be able to understand us. Basically, in a nutshell, we have to teach Siri, Alexa, and Google Assistant again so that they understand us. It's like training a child to respect you. We are training the child to respect us and our voice patterns.
Right. So is the plan that somewhere down the road when all this data is collected, that the folk at Alexa or Siri get access to it and they use it then to do what exactly?
So right now, the people who own the data set are Howard University. Google is co-sponsoring this initiative, and they will have access to 1.0 of the data set. However, for future iterations, it will be solely owned by Howard University, and we are creating a consortium of HBCU community partners who will own and create policies around the fair usage of this data set so that people don't use it to arrest Black people, disenfranchise people who are already disenfranchised.
Yep. That is a really, really innovative project. I can't imagine anybody other than HBCU should be doing this, but give me a sense of how that feels to be at the epicenter of something that could be really transformative.
Honestly, it's very exciting, but then at the same time, it's very scary because as a computer scientist, I just want to make sure, and as a Black computer scientist, I want to make sure that people are respected, specifically Black people. In my research, that's what I do. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure with this project was to ensure that Google and any other tech company, when they go about wanting to create this, that they're not creating technology that will hurt people. And I was very concerned with that in the beginning, but we worked together on fair usage guidelines, and we have a whole collaboration of how our research is going to go about ensuring that.
Yep. I just asked this question to Michael Winslow earlier in this hour as a a voice instrumentalist, as the king of sound effects. I got his take as a black man on AI, but he's no computer science professor at Howard like Gloria Washington is, doing some pretty amazing and innovative works. I want to get your take, broadly speaking, on this AI conversation when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom. What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Discover, this is Danny.
Hi, it's Jen Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great. But with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Are you hungry? 'Cause everyone left after the asparagus sorbet.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
To some, this might sound like a typical family dog. But at Dog Chow, we know that for a veteran suffering from PTSD, this could be the sound of life-saving therapy.
Thanks, Betty.
That's why we've made it our mission to connect every military hero in need with a canine hero of their own. To learn about the simple ways you can help Dog Chow in our mission, visit dogchow.com/veterans.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Sounds different. Huh. This is Tavis Smiley.
We talked to Michael Winslow earlier in this hour, Professor Washington, about the times he's been asked to see if he can use his voice. He's the king of sound effects. The times he's been asked to use his voice to see if he could fool Siri or fool Alexa. But the one thing he said that jumped out at me more than anything else when I asked him about AI specifically is he said, "Tavis, we got to stay ahead of it. We have to stay ahead of it." Now, this is the black guy who's scared of what it can do. Do you share his view that we got to stay ahead of it?
We truly do got to stay ahead of it. And truly, this is why this project exists. And if we think about it, we're creating not only down the line technologies that will help voice assistance, but we're also going to create technologies that will help with privacy issues related with the data set that we're creating. And policies, we hope one day that will be made into laws for different states, as like disenfranchising African Americans that are already being targeted by police and law enforcement and just in general by AI that is not as effective.
Yep. You said effective, EFF. I want to now ask you about affective, AFF. What you do, as I said earlier, is what you call affective computing. What does that mean?
So specifically, we are looking at emotional information. I'm all about reducing imposter syndrome for my Black students, Black people in general, and that truly relates to emotional information as they are dealing with technology. We want to make sure that they're positive, doing what they need to do in relation with the things that they're building. So that is where the affective part comes in. helping them stay positive.
Mm-hmm. So is that your way of telling me that you believe that AI can be emotional at some level?
So that's a tricky question. I would say it can mimic the way that we do things, but I don't think that it's there yet. It's just not there yet. And truly, I think that the way that I think about the aspects of part of what I research, you always have to have the human in the loop who's guarding everything, who's making sure that everything is good, just to ensure that we don't have something go off the rails.
Mm-hmm. How should AI in the future be policed? I'm not talking about government involvement, government intervention. How should it be policed in the future?
So for me, and maybe I'm a pie in the sky person, I do believe that policies can be created around data sets like the ones that I am creating, and then eventually all states will start to adopt privacy policies across the board to protect our individual citizens, not just only Black people, because it is truly a pervasive thing of these technologies taking away our privacy and basically, using data for ill-begotten good. So I am all about protecting that, and I think that we should create laws so that there is transparency with who gets sued. Specifically, if a technology is created and someone loses income, can you trace it back to recovering that income for a Black person who was arrested erroneously from biometric technology? So I think that it has to be spelled out. Yeah.
Yep. We're talking with Howard's Gloria Washington. You're listening to her right now on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
The rent is too damn high. KBLA joins you in calling for affordable housing. The LA Tenants Union is a diverse, tenant-led movement fighting for the human right to housing for all. The LA Tenants Union demands safe, affordable housing and union rent control. They organize against landlord harassment, mass evictions, and displacement, and mobilize for the repeal of the Ellis Act and Costa-Hawkins Act. The LA Tenants Union is on a mission to strengthen tenants' political power through education, advocacy, and direct action. To get help with your eviction or other landlord-tenant issues, take action for justice, or become a member, visit latenantsunion.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More of Tavis Smiley and Gloria Washington at Howard University. I got about just 3 minutes left in this conversation. You may try to get 3 questions out in 3 minutes that are on top of my head. Number one, Professor Washington, long term, you think that AI, with specific regard to black folk, is a helper or a herder?
So, long term, I do believe that it is a helper. However, only if you have, for every individual technology, created social good guidelines that accompany it. And the creators of it allow everybody to be at the table. Mm-hmm. It is not just for a certain few.
To your point about everybody being at the table, we started this conversation earlier talking about the work that you were doing at Howard with others to help us with the problems that we have perennially getting Alexa or Siri to understand us, and these automated speech recognition technologies. You're trying to improve that for us, which we appreciate. But you said earlier in this conversation that it often happens. This kind of drama happens where Siri and Alexa can understand us because nobody black was in the room in the first place when they were designing this stuff. Are you seeing that problem getting any better?
I am seeing that problem getting better, specifically with this project and people who are allowed to be at the table. If you look historically, you wouldn't see a HBCU researcher at the table in the room with AI researchers from Google or some of these other larger tech companies. It would be a black person, but usually they are from a predominantly white institution. So it just goes along with, the respect level that they give to HBCUs. So we're at the table, we're representing, and we are going to keep the technology that we build safe for black people.
Yep. And finally, speaking of black people, what should the audience know, broadly speaking, about the work of black AI specialists in this moment?
Specifically, that Elise Project Elevate Black Voices is concerned with the social good element. So we're collecting data, but we're not forgetting about the black people who are involved in the process. And these are not just technologists. These are everyday individuals going about their lives, just trying to make their lives better. So at least for us, we consider them as AI specialists, and they are, because they use the technology every day.
Yep. As I said earlier, and I've delighted in this conversation, Gloria Washington refers to herself as an empathetic technology researcher who focuses on the intersection of human-centered computing, affective computing, and biometrics. Her research seeks to give voice to the underserved and marginalized by asking all the kinds of right questions. She's working with her team there on trying to solve this problem that many of us have when Alexa and Siri cannot understand us, and we are grateful for the work that she's doing and so glad that HBCUs are at the center of this. It's a great story. Professor Washington, an honor to have you on this program again. Thanks for your work and witness, and we'll talk, I hope, somewhere down the road.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
My great delight to have you. What an honor. Thank you for your time. Just like that, poof, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until then, thanks for listening to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The Senate is moving quickly to get aid to Israel. That's what Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said today on the Senate floor as the country's war with the Palestinian militant group Hamas rages on. The New York Democrat said the robust package will include military, intelligence, diplomatic, and humanitarian aid. The